All right. Funny pre-podcast joke insert here.
Mhm.
The line between light and dark is so very thin. I am God! And I have become legend.
And welcome back, Guardians, to another edition of Becoming Legend.
What is up, everybody? How are you doing today?
How's everybody doing today? Well, I want to welcome you back to episode now 17 episodes strong of Destiny lore, content, explanations, theories, questions, possible futures. That's definitely one that we're going to be talking about today is possible futures. If you are following along, I want you to know that this is the very last episode we will have on season 14, season of the Splicer. It's been a wonderful season. I've had a great time. We've actually been talking about this one since episode 12. So that's quite a lot of time with, some crazy discoveries that we've made. To catch you up a little bit on the story, I'm actually going to jump past into previous seasons, into season 13, the season of the Chosen, because in that season, there was a being known as Ixil the Far-Reaching. You may remember him. He was a Cabal scion who infiltrated a far-seeing future device. I think I actually have it here.
They had gotten control of a Vex prediction engine, if I remember correctly.
The prediction engine.
And this group of scions were able to use the prediction engine in order to see potential futures as calculated by the Vex. I gotcha.
Yes. Thank you so much for filling in that blank for me. The prediction engine, exactly as Mr. Tweezii just stated. By the way, my name is Mr. Birduup. Didn't introduce myself. Nice to meet you. Myself and Mr. Tweezii have found a similarity between a lore tab in season 14 and what is currently happening today. This lore tab is for my personal favorite sniper rifle at the moment. I'm not lying. I really like this sniper rifle, the Far Future sniper rifle. In it, there are 7 possible futures where Ixil saw things that might happen in this universe. And what he was trying to do was find a way to narrow down which future is going to become real so he can maneuver himself into a position of power. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. We went down and destroyed him, as Guardians tend to do whenever there is the promise of loot at the end. However, we were able to see the futures which Ixil saw for himself. And one in particular, I want to read very quickly. Ixil, mutineer, far-reaching, murderer, scion, prophet. Future 1. The tower burns. Fallen in the streets. Screaming. The hive witch dissembles. Crackling portal. Treachery. Vex emerge. Zavala commands. If you've played the most recent weeks in the season of the Splicer, you may be familiar with most of these events. They actually occurred in the last weekly event that they gave to us, where the Vex portal emerged in the city, causing chaos, causing a huge battle, causing the death of one of our leaders, and honestly, probably the greatest threat to the city since the Red War. Mr. Tweezii, would you like to fill us in on these events that have occurred?
Yes. So, spoiler warning for those of you who have not yet engaged with this part of the season. But when we were recording this, as Bird may or may not have alluded to earlier, this is literally we're recording this on a Monday. This is the last day of the season. Getting in these thoughts. Basically, what ended up happening was that, as we know, throughout the course of the season, the consensus has been having disagreements with the Vanguard. As we know, the way that the city used to be run back before the Red War, there was the Vanguard, which was a combination of Hunter, Warlock, and Titan Guardians, 3 emissaries from those. The Speaker who was killed during the Red War by Emperor Gaul. And then the consensus consisted of the faction leaders, Lakshmi II, of Future War Cult, and then we had Dead Orbit and New Monarchy. And they all spoke together and worked together to try and create a harmonious city that everyone can live in, and that no one party had more power over the other. Guardians had power, but it's all about the citizens because the Guardians protected them, blah, blah, blah. Throughout this past season, we have seen disputes between the former consensus and the Vanguard and how the city should be ran, because we invited Mithrax and the rest of House Light to come and actually live inside the city. The Elixni, the Fallen, as Lakshmi II and her cohorts chose to view them, are a race of beings in which we have had long-standing fights with. And so inviting the enemy into our gates is something that was seen as treacherous. And all throughout the season, we saw Lakshmi II and Ikora Ray battling back and forth about what we were going to do. Ikora Ray was all about welcoming them into the city. Lakshmi II was all about, using Mithrax and the House Light to really dispel the endless night, the spell that was put over the entire tower, last city area by Korea, the Undying Mind. Lakshmi was all about like using the Fallen in order to defeat the Undying, like the endless night. But then the moment that happened, it was like, okay, send them on their merry way. They're no use to us now. That is not the stance of the Vanguard as they exist. So this culminated in the last week or so by Lakshmi II deciding that the only way in which they were going to be successful in eliminating them was by opening a portal that Osiris showed how to do, opening a portal to the Vex within the, where the Elixni were, opening a portal, inviting the Vex in to destroy them all. Never minding the cost of human life that's going to take on the rest of the city, never mind the impacts of inviting a enemy and within the city gates and opening that portal. So that is how that broke down. Lakshmi II invites the Vex in. It becomes an override mission in the last city. We go on, bing, bang, boom. We win as always. And in the midst of the firefight, Lakshmi II is killed. The rest of the factions flee the city, and Osiris has disappeared. The last we saw of Osiris, he was kind of standing over in one of the collapsed buildings, watching us with crossed arms before he walked away. And that is literally how the season ended. There's a couple of other things that showed up that some intrepid explorers were able to find. There is a friendly harpy who we now believe to be Asher Mir. There was predictions when Lakshmi II went into the mind forking device and made predictions about what was going to happen to the city. One of those predictions involved Asher speaking again. And there is a harpy that you can interact with that I can't remember who I saw broke this down, but basically the beautiful people at Raid Secrets who are super into Destiny turn down all the music volume, listen to the noises that the harpy makes, and realize that it was Morse code for assistant, which is how Asher Mir referred to us. And so they were able, that's how we know that Asher Mir, who was taken by a Radiolorian virus that was transforming his arm when we last saw him, that's how we know, or that's how we think we know, rather, that Asher Mir is now appearing in Vex form in front of us as a way to continue to try and help. But I think that's like a good recap of where we're at, pretty much. Like, the factions are gone. No more faction rallies. Not that we've had them in 3 years.
It's nice to have a lore explanation for that.
It is. It really is. It's nice that it's actually tied into the game and not something that the devs did just because it wasn't working anymore.
Right.
But yeah, where that leaves us right now is in this questioning place on a lot of different fronts, just regarding the city, not even regarding what we're going to talk about in a little bit with the next season. With the factions being gone from the city, with no new speaker, the city very much is run by the Vanguard now. And how well will this take off? For years, it has been a collaboration between Guardians and regular everyday citizens. But there is no longer a voice at the table for the citizens within the last city. So will this lead to Zavala, as you alluded to earlier, actually stepping into command and really taking a bigger role around the city? Hopefully, maybe Saint 14 will as well. Who knows? It leads us to questions about, unfortunately, Lakshmi 2 attacking the Elixni that lived within the city shows that the Elixni still aren't fully trusted by humanity. Will they continue to be our allies moving forward? Like, again, we've continued to attack them. And yes, Saint 14 and Amanda Holiday, everybody came out of the woodworks to help defend the city and help protect the Elixni. But, members of humanity, exos or whatnot, did instigate an attack. So how much can we be trusted? These are the questions that we get to start asking ourselves going into the next season and into the next expansion when we get that information. But yeah, did I miss something from this season? There's, I don't think there was really anything big.
It's at the point where we're at right now. I mean, even from 2 episodes ago, we really thought that was the end of the season. So this last event really was unexpected and kind of brings more storylines together. In the classic Destiny and Bungie function is they bring everything together just enough to create more questions to find out what's going to happen next, where everybody's going to split apart. So one part of this story, how I want to see unfold into the next season, is Saint 14. It's interesting that you mentioned, will humanity continue to trust the Elixni? Will these attacks on them stop on House Light, which according to Zavala in one of the lore tabs, the plan for House Light was actually to move them into the city, no longer living in the Elixni quarters. They wanted it to be, you live wherever you want, get an apartment, you pay your rent, be nice to your neighbors, just everybody be, treat each other with some sort of dignity, right? Yeah. But is that really going to happen because of the violence that we've seen and the nature and all the stories that we've heard about the Fallen for years? I want to say most of those attacks should stop, because at this point, Saint 14, after this attack in the Elixni Quarter, is really, really, really sticking his neck out for the Elixni at this point. He was one of the most vicious leaders, one of the most, ruthless kind of soldiers who would destroy Elixni in, several wars, go out and just known as the Destroyer. And for him to turn around and start speaking for the Elixni to say, hey, I was mistaken in the past and we can trust these guys. If you trust me, Saint 14, and I say you can trust these guys, then I'm really hoping that word actually stands for something. And at least the majority of Guardians, Exos, and City, will listen to that. There's going to be some defectors, of course, but I think the city in general should start to trust House Light, if not all Elixni. But another story that interests me in Saint 14 is now Osiris has gone missing. To our viewers and listeners out here, you may or may not know this. Osiris and Saint 14 are canonically lovers. They are actually a couple. And there's some really great stories about them in the past and how their relationships are, how they communicate, how Saint 14 writes poems to what he calls his Phoenix. Thank you. His Phoenix.
I think it's the Phoenix, because the lore book that we read about a lot of this is the Phoenix and the Sparrow, I think.
Correct.
The Phoenix and the Pigeon, one of those.
Yes.
It's a bird. It's a bird and another bird.
Yes. So Osiris has broken the laws of time, has really bent the light in every way possible, has done everything he could in order to bring Saint 14 back. And Saint 14 is aware of this. So I think he's going to put the same type of conviction in order to finding Osiris and finding his Phoenix and bringing him home and understanding, hey, you need to come home and explain to the Guardians that is not your fault that the Vex came through, that you did not intentionally plan this. But right now, Osiris is looking pretty sus, as we've been saying for several episodes now. And I'll even eat my own words where I said, no, Osiris, no. He has his reasons. That I've completely changed my point. And Mr. Tweezii brought up some excellent points. I would definitely recommend going back to the Osiris episode and just understanding the points that are going on there. But now you have an interesting dynamic where Saint 14 is still in love with his partner Osiris, but Osiris seems to be returning none of that. And even their conversations that we get to read now in the lore are completely different from the conversations that we've seen before, which goes to further the theory, which is Osiris could be corrupted by Savathuun, if not a skin worn by Savathuun. But we will definitely find out more of this tomorrow. August 24th, by the way, is the new reveal of the Witch Queen DLC and season 15 at the same time. So it's going to be a huge day for Lore tomorrow. We're just really putting our final thoughts into wrapping up season of the Splicer. And I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but it's a lot. It's just so much that's going on right now. How do you feel about what is going to happen in the future between Saint 14 and Osiris? What may happen?
Also, sorry if it looked weird that I was like going in and out of the camera. I realized I was like, oh, my camera's out of focus, and I was trying to find a way to do that without being suspicious. I do wonder about that. You know, like there's been rumors for a bit before they officially announced the name of the season that it was going to be Season of the Lost, and that part of the season was going to focus around Saint 14 and his quest to save Zavala. You know, we also saw that Ikora herself is not giving up on Zavala, is not saying that Zavala is a bad person. Everything looks really bad, but we haven't gotten Zavala's side, or not Zavala. I'm so sorry. Osiris. We have not gotten Osiris's part of the story yet, but Ikora has come out and said, you know, like, I don't, you know, I don't know how to feel about him. I just want you to get him back so we can get answers, you know. Is he corrupted? Is he Savathuun in a different form? Who knows right now? You know, that is the big question. Is he in fact sane and working on behalf of Mara Sov in order to push the Guardians and humanity into a situation that he has foreseen that gives us more of an advantage that maybe he can't explain right now? You know, there's a lot of questions, and a lot of it is because Osiris has become a key figure over the last year. You know, it was 2 years ago, I want to say, in Shadowkeep, Season of Arrivals, Season of the Dawn. Season of the Dawn is, I think, the season. Season of the Dawn is the season in which we go to Mars, we visit the sundial, we realize why the sundial has been built, and we utilize the sundial to, you know, not only, whatever.
Sorry.
Whatever. It's a dead planet now, so who cares? Go to Mercury, do the sundial, and you know, not only interact with Saint 14 at various points in his journey as a guardian, but ultimately bring back Saint 14 from the dead by pulling him out of an old timeline. I'm very curious to see how they're going to play with this and play with Osiris and Saint, because also Osiris has been seen as a wizened old figure. Not only was he the best PvP, but he is one of the best minds that the city has to offer. He had multiple followers. You know, that is why Trials of Osiris is a thing, is because the followers of Osiris decided to create PvP combat in order to glorify him in a weird sort of way. Osiris is, you know, the person that was the advisor to Zavala, sitting behind him during the interactions that we had with Keitel, you know, during everything that was happening with Spider and Crow. Like, Osiris is there in the background. So I think this is going to be something that they're going to hit on a lot more. We do know, based off of the images that have been shown for the next season, that Osiris will be a cutscene of some kind with Mara Sov. We know that Mara Sov is coming back. We know that we're going to spend a lot of our time this next season at the Dreaming City. And we know that Osiris shows up, but we don't know anything past that at this moment. And that is really more of what I want to learn about, like, is he corrupted? Is he Savathuun? Or is he secretly being the villain in order to be the hero later? I think the community split between, taken or, like corrupted or whatnot, but I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do with his character throughout the rest of this year. Hopefully it ends in a redeeming way, but given the way that this last year has been, I feel highly confident that's not going to be an issue. But yeah. So yeah. I've kind of spoiled a little bit of what we were going to talk about next, I think. But before we get to that, the last episode that we did, we spent a little bit of time talking about the TWABs. There was a number of big changes, and I made a prediction that was wrong. And so we're going to talk a little bit about my wrong prediction, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what happened because I was wrong. For those of you that listened to the last episode, you know that I predicted that because we talked about mods, because we talked about crossplay, because there was a large PvP thread on Twitter talking about the changes coming to PvP and trials, I thought that the next TWAB, the penultimate TWAB for season of the Splicer, was going to be about changes to Trials of Osiris and really letting us know how they're going to improve that game mode. And I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. It turns out that one of the things that people have been talking about for a bit is true. And the TWAB came out to talk about weapons and weapon tuning and the kinds of changes that we haven't really seen this much text about things in a while, So I think we can kind of talk about this like at length, but we can kind of also hit on the high points. The biggest high point for me, and I'm curious what your thought is because we haven't really talked about this. Mm-hmm. Primaries, kinetics, white brick weapons now have infinite ammo. And as a player who has run out of ammo during all sorts of encounters, I cannot begin to tell you how excited this makes me. That maybe one day I won't have to worry about running out of ammo in the middle of a hard encounter and having to just kind of be like, either kill me or I'm just going to like wait around for 2 minutes until you reload me with a little bit of everything. So what are your thoughts?
That was actually one of the main things that I really noticed. To me, that is the biggest singular change. There are tons of minor changes and, buffing weapons, nerfing weapons, a couple changes to adjustments to gameplay here and there. But to me, this is going to be the biggest impact is the fact that you no longer will run out of kinetic ammo. And as Mr. Tweezii said, especially in high level events, this happens frequently. Anything where you really have to spam your hand cannon or your scout rifle or something and you're not really doing that much damage, yeah, you're going to run out of ammo for sure. I can speak just yesterday, by the way, I'm going to take a moment just to plug the Becoming Legend Discord and clan, newly created crossplay. Give us a join, link in the Discord. We ran our first Garden of Salvation yesterday, and I was running out of ammo every run. We were taking a little bit of extra time at the boss. We were teaching some new players, which this is why you want to take a look at our Discord. If you're a new player and you need people to run you through certain events, that's definitely going to be us. We'll talk more about that later. Anyway, the fact that you're no longer going to run out of kinetic ammo just really changes everything. It will actually change the way some exotics function as well. But it's really going to be interesting, especially now the fact that they are changing some of the champion mods for next season. One of them I'm particularly looking forward to is my all-time favorite. It is the bow with overload on it. Overload bow. I'm a bow main. I personally love bows. Bows haven't been shown love in a couple seasons, but any chance you give me to use a bow, I'm going to take it. So now I will have unlimited overload bow ammo. So throw me a Grandmaster Nightfall with overloads. I'm your guy for sure.
Yeah.
That definitely opens up some options for the players out there. Another this thing that I wanted to touch on that they showed was we are going to have more stasis kinetic weapons. I really was interested when they introduced Cryothesia, the Season of the Splicer exotic sidearm, in case some of you don't know. It's pretty cool. What it does is you can pull the trigger and shoot people like regular, but if you press and hold the trigger, it'll fire a freezing shot. But when it does that, it eats your entire mag. So you typically want to do that on the last shot or when you're about to kill somebody. Anyway, it did introduce this new type of gameplay mechanic to the game where you can have an energy weapon and a stasis weapon. Now they're saying that we're going to have more legendary stasis weapons. I really want to see how this will affect the PvE in particular. They did say as far as PvP, it won't affect it that much as far as slowing your enemies when you shoot them. But in PvP, this means you'll be able to apply stasis abilities without necessarily having to run that subclass, opening up a ton more options and stack that with some stasis mods and see what kind of damage you can do. So, those are probably the top two things that I noticed that really caught my eye. Was there anything else that caught your eye that you wanted to speak about in this update?
The things that caught my eye past that is just a general, we are working on actually making frames of fusion rifles actually matter in a substantial way. I don't know how many people actually look at the frame that that they get with their fusion rifles, because really it hasn't really made that big a difference in charge times or damage or like multiple shots. Like none of that has really mattered. But for the first time, they're actually taking a look at fusion rifles and kind of reworking the fusion rifle system so that fusion rifles, like those kinds of frames and stuff, matter, which is great because that's like as you get further and further deep into Destiny and really caring about your numbers and min-maxing, like these are the things that you need to start thinking about as far as what you're going to equip for what circumstance. Past that, I like the fact that we're changing all the perks. Obviously, it needs to happen now that kinetics and primaries have unlimited white brick ammo. So it doesn't make sense for some of the perks to roll the way that they do. And that is something that I'm going to watch next season when they roll this out, because will this be retroactive to guns that I have in my vault that already have these perks on them? I'm talking, I think like was not hipfire grip. That wasn't one of them. But there is all of the extended mag ones, and those are getting a rework. And so I wonder if it's going to work retroactively as well, or if this is just going to be moving forward and I have to get some new weapons. Who knows? But yeah, that's past that. Like there's a lot of individual changes to a lot of individual exotics, but all of this is more just to fit in line with one, the primaries becoming infinite, and two, the overall design mission that we have been told from the devs and the sandbox team, saying that they want Destiny to be more focused on gunplay again and not so much focused on abilities. So a lot of these changes that we're seeing they fall in line with that design philosophy. So I think we're in a great place. I'm excited to get my hands on it tomorrow and really see how all this stuff feels, man. So
me too. I'm extremely excited. There is one more thing I wanted to pull from the TWAB. A kind of side effect that I don't think anybody was really expecting, me in particular. They are updating the Prophecy Dungeon. They are adding a new weapon pool to the Prophecy Dungeon, which before you would, the armor was pretty cool, but it's not my all-time favorite. But what they're doing is adding the original Trials of the 9 weapons. If you remember when Destiny 2 very first launched, and it was Trials of the 9, not Trials of Osiris. And we actually had some separate maps in the end space. It was in a galaxy. Nobody knew where it was, controlled by the 9. And there were specific weapons that you got from that event. Those weapons have since been pulled from the game, and it really had no work. Nothing for you to do with them, no reason to run them. They are being relaunched with this dungeon with new roles that you can get for it and new perks. There's a sniper that looks pretty sick, and I'm looking at the shotgun right now. Like I think I'm really gonna run the sniper, the auto rifle, and the shotgun. So
Yeah.
if you need more reasons to go back and do the prophecy dungeon, just in case they happen to pull that pinnacle from the prophecy, which is totally possible with the new season, you can still go back and get those new weapons, which you can use for your PvP and PvE endgame activities. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see those and figure out what the god rolls on those are.
Yes.
Because like Trials of the Nine was not all that great when it launched. There was an emote that I think single-handedly it was the Ministry of Silly Walks emote that led to Trials of the Nine being pulled, because I don't think it was the only thing, but it was like a major bug that I remember. You could phase through the walls with the Ministry of Silly Walks emote, and then just camp out in the hidden areas of the map. So I am glad that this is getting a callback. I am excited to see what kind of lore that they put on these weapons as well.
Yes.
And are we going to continue to get to learn more about the Nine as a result of that, or what? So yeah, next season's exciting. Let me tell you.
It really is. It really is. I mean, even just coming back a little bit more to a lore perspective without the TWAB, the fact that Mara Sov is joining into the picture does open up the possibility of us learning more about the Nine, as I believe Mara has met with the Nine before, or definitely has sent the embassy whenever she left in previous seasons to create a meeting with the Nine. So at this point, she would have met with them, and maybe we'll find out more about the plan, what is really going on with the Nine. We haven't had a chance to fully go into them as I would like to, but one thing that people should know about the Nine is they are not a collective of 9 primordial beatings of gods. They actually split into 2 factions, one supporting the darkness and one supporting the light. We don't really know who Mara Sov is working with. We don't know who she's been talking to. We don't know what kind of deals have been made. It would be nice to know what our destiny is, what they're trying to set for us, so we can have a say in, is this how we want our future to happen or not? Do we want the darkness to wipe everything out? Do we want to support the traveler, which the gardener's breaking the rules of the game? It's some complicated dynamics, and we're just going to find out a lot more in season 15. We're going to have more questions too, because the August 24th reveal event seems to be "Survive the Truth" is the catchphrase that they've chosen. So what is the truth?
Which is funny, that we talk about that. We're obviously we can talk about the fact that tomorrow, Tuesday, August 24th, is the reveal stream. So if you're listening to this, obviously what happened already. We're just speaking into the future here.
Yeah.
There is 2 live streams happening tomorrow. There is the pre-show at 8 a.m. Pacific, which is my time, and then there is the reveal stream at 9 a.m. Pacific. And what's exciting about those is that it's 2 hours of Destiny. It's an hour, 30 minutes with 15 minutes of break in between. I don't know how this is going to work out. But what we know, or what we need to know, is this. Season of the Lost is about to take place. We know nothing about Season of the Lost. For the first time going into the season, we do not have a clear idea of what is going to happen in the season, what the new weapon's going to be, kind of what the new gameplay arc, the new match-made activity is going to be. We have zero clue, other than the fact that Mara Sov is coming back. It feels as if, thanks to our activities this past year, or especially this past season, the community's current theory is that we are going to be going back to the Dreaming City. It's going to be very Dreaming City focused. And we are going to potentially break the curse on the Dreaming City. We don't know. The more exciting thing, as we all know, is the reveal stream of the Witch Queen, the new expansion that will be dropping in February, I think, of 2022. The new season with a new subclass, we hope, where we really face off against Savathuun for the first time. They dropped a teaser today showing us her back. And wow, that's all I really need to say. Wow, we're in for some stuff.
Oh yeah.
But what's interesting, because you said remember, or they keep harping on truth, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. This is not researched, all memory. There was a lore entry, or there was a series of lore entries that we were given called From the Books of Truth, that dealt with a lot of different things. It's the reason why we believe that there was, I think, a 15th wish. I think it's also the reason why some people thought if they did a certain amount of damage to a boss at a certain amount of time, it was going to spawn something. The Books of Truth we recognize as kind of being propaganda from Savathuun.
Right.
So everything's kind of tying together, you know. Like I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. What her truth is, and what that means for us in our relationships with everything moving forward. Because we're moving towards it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, we need to decide: do we believe what truths she may reveal to us or not, as she is the god of deception? Anything that she tells you could be a lie, or she could be telling you the truth right to your face, but you'll think it's a lie because that's what she's known for. That's how she generates her power. It's actually a known fact about her, especially with recent lore, that she prefers to fight with words than with weapons. She would rather confuse the heck out of you and have that confusion feed her worm, giving her power. You know, she doesn't need to kill you. She's actually, right now as we speak, walking around our city, prying the minds of our civilians, as you can see in the what is it? Skin
Endless Night lore book. I think it's like Beneath the Endless Night or something like that. Yes. The seasonal lore book that you unlocked entries for every week when you completed override missions and all the expunge mission, all that fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's for week 7. I remember that. I'm forgetting the title of it, but you can go back to week 7 and read that. And she's right now out there just, reading everybody's minds, collecting their soul, gathering power for her worm, creating confusion where there doesn't need to be. There was actually one civilian that seemed to have caught her having a moment where she may have slipped in her form, or she was throwing up black gaseous vomit. And she thought, should I kill this person or should I let him go? And she decided just to pry his mind instead. She just lied to him with words, didn't even use any hive magic. And he's like, cool, whatever. But that ignorance, that cool, whatever, just writing it off actually gives her power. So what we've really fall back to what we were stating earlier. What is the truth? What is the real truth? Can we pierce through whatever information she is trying to present to us in order to find what may be going on the other side? And what if she gives us some information that the light or the traveler may not exactly be what we thought it was? As she seems to look at the traveler as a tool, not a god, which it kind of is from the right perspective. So I'm really just building up questions upon questions for myself and for the listeners. Just really think about these things, y'all. Like, what exactly are we going to find out tomorrow? And how is that going to relate to how everything actually pans out in February?
These are the questions, and I think what we will see tomorrow, hopefully we don't see too much, they are going to show us as much as they can. But like, I also, because of the way that the story has been told over the past year, I'm also in a position where I'm like, I don't want to know story-wise, like what we're talking about here. Like, I don't want to get a clear picture of a lot of things. I want just like a general overview of everything. And then I want to kind of go into it fresh. I don't want to know I don't want to see Osiris,
Right.
Because if I see Osiris, then that means that Osiris is going to survive the next season. Like questions, Right. Or if we see Osiris and he's kidnapped, then we know, But I am just definitely excited for what truth she's going to reveal over the last, couple of years, actually, ever since Shadowkeep. A lot of what we have quote unquote known has been thrown into question. The first time that we interact with the darkness, they come in front of us and say, "We are your salvation." When we interact with a strange object that you can find in the pyramid, and the weird pyramid ship at the moon, like that. The last little bit of that cutscene is "We are your salvation." And what are they saving us from? What is Savathuun on that same path? Is Savathuun just trying to figure out whatever she needs to do so that she can break herself and her connection from her worm so that she can live her life how she wants to? Who knows? The thing with Savathuun that I think is interesting is that we always talk about Savathuun as being like the goddess of trickery, right? And of deception. Mm-hmm. But at that same time, I also think of her as being the goddess of cunning, because the way in which she chooses to fight, she manipulates the situation so that she comes out ahead. And that's really the best way to describe it. She's the one that puts the whisper in the minds of the advisors at Toro Batal or Toro Bottle, and causes them to open up a portal for the hive to come through with Xivu Arath and destroy the home planet, like leading to the Kaido and her legion of Cabal joining us in the Soul System and kind of having a weird alliance that's not an alliance. It's more of like a, hey, you don't mess with me, we won't mess with you anymore kind of thing. And so I'm curious about what, the way that the chessboard is being set between us and Savathuun. What are the moves that she has already made, and where is that leading us? And kind of what can we do to get around it? And what is going to be her interaction with Morozov? I'm pretty sure they both know of each other. Both strong, independent women, don't need no man. Is there room for both of them in this universe? And if not, who is going to prevail? Questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Strong questions.
Yeah. And now that I've talked about Morozov enough. I kind of want to get your opinions on this next season of the Lost. What, if we can get one prediction that we can go back when we do this episode again for next season, right? We'll actually go back and look at the notes. So what is your prediction? What one thing do you think is going to happen over the course of the season?
This might be an easy answer, but almost every season of the X, season of the Chosen, season of the Splicer, season of the Dawn, season of whatever, it almost directly relates to us, the player guardian. So just because it's season of the Lost, I'm going to say we are going to make some sort of discovery that we are the lost ones, and not necessarily lost by misguided or like physically lost, like lost in the galaxy, lost in space, danger, will, wob, and sin, like not exactly like that. But maybe we're lost in our belief in the traveler. Maybe we're lost in the side of who is right, who is wrong, what is right, what is wrong in this universe. Right now, currently, I would say there is a little bit of you could say a split, like even in this example with Osiris, the Vanguard and the city has no clue that he's possibly been corrupted. No idea. So to them, this is just a complete, unforeseen event. Whereas for us, it's like, oh yeah, we kind of saw this coming because we got to read about it. Well, I think it's going to be the same, where it's more about the in-game characters learning the things that we, the lore buffs, already know. Or already assume, at least. And that is that the light maybe cannot be fully trusted. Maybe we'll even have another conversation with the light. We haven't had one since the season of the Hunt, really. And that was just one little mission where it sent us a bird to get a gun. Doesn't really, yeah. So who knows? Maybe we'll have a conversation with the light and get its perspective. Maybe we'll get more knowledge or theories from Savathuun or from the darkness, from their perspective on the light. I don't know. That's kind of what I think. My prediction is going to be, it's going to be about what is right and what is wrong in the grand scheme of things, in a war between multiverses of two gods who clearly don't care. Who do we support, and how important is this battle with Savathuun when the Gardener and Winnower are still out there? So maybe it'll be about that.
Okay.
What do you think? What would you want to predict?
I'm going to take an easier one because I can. Right. We know that Morozov is coming back. And obviously Morozov coming back means that we are going to have the inevitable interaction between Marasov and the Crow, former Aldrin Sov, former brother, former prince of the Awoken. I'm pretty sure that Mara knows a little bit about what's happened to her brother, but I don't think that she is fully aware of what has happened or what has transpired, how he got to the situation where he was in, and how he got to this moment. Because, we are the ones that pulled the trigger, or it was left in question. Was it us? Was it Petra? Who knows? But one of the two of us shot Aldrin and killed him. And is this going to be something that Marasov can forgive? Is this going to be something that Marasov can get over? Obviously, we're going to talk about all that this season. So my predictions are this. Because of the interactions between the two, we do know that there is a history of some characters in the Destiny lore having an understanding of their past lives. The most prominent one, of course, is Anna Bray. When we first met Anna Bray at Warmind, we knew that she was a hunter guardian who knew that, who had come to and saw that she had a Bray Tech ID badge identifying her as Anna Bray, and as a result, that is what led her to Mars to search for some information about her past. Because Marasov knows Aldrin's past, my question or my prediction will be Aldrin Sov will have for all of this time, Aldrin's real identity has been kept hidden from the city, and he does not know what he did. And I think this is going to be the season where that all changes. I think this is going to be the season where Aldrin Sov learns that his past life, he killed Cade 6, the Hunter Vanguard, which also will lead to the Cade Stare and the potential for the Crow to succeed Cade 6 as being the next Hunter Vanguard. I think all of these things are going to tie together in a beautiful way, and maybe we will get to learn more about Aldrin Sov and his relationships with his sister and all of that as a result of this interaction. But I think this is going to be the season where Aldrin gets outed to everybody, and it puts Aldrin in the position to become the new Hunter Vanguard, if the Vanguard stays, which I'm still not convinced. But yeah, that's my prediction. That is my prediction for the next season.
Man, I'm going to strongly root for your prediction, honestly. Wow, I'm picturing this entire thing in my head. And one thing that I really thought is I really like the moments in the lore where you get to see a flicker of humanity in Marasov. Most of the time, she's stoic. She's very calculated in everything, and even how she expresses herself, the words she uses, which she actually learned from Riven. She learned from a dragon that words have actual power in this universe and can imply what you imply. Basically, you need to be careful what you wish for and how you speak. So after almost millennia, definitely centuries, if not millennia, for Marasov of being this way, there are small moments where you get to see her be herself, where you get to see her kind of act freely. One example would be the argument that she gets into with her brother when he returns from the Black Garden, and she knows that the Black Garden tends to corrupt, and she shows a moment of remorse, and she's sad that he went there and had to experience this. So what I'm going with this is, will we get to experience another moment like that where she has to let her guard down because she's encountering her dead, now risen brother? Will she crack and let a little moment of humanity through? What will that mean for us?
Who knows, man? Who knows? All I know is that I'm excited for tomorrow. I cannot wait.
Extremely excited
to watch all of this stuff and to get an idea of not only where are we going for the next lots of months. Holy crap, it's gonna be a long season, y'all.
Yep.
But that being said, I am excited for this season. I'm excited for this next expansion. I'm excited for everything that they're going to show us, because this past year of Destiny, as we continue to talk about on this podcast, has been one of the best storytelling seasons that we've experienced as Guardians in the last 7-8 years that I've been playing. So
Yes.
we're going to keep this momentum going. But yeah, man.
Yes, absolutely.
So
It's going to be amazing.
yeah.
But
All right.
I think we are running out of topics for the end of the season. Final closing thoughts. The season was great. The lore was absolutely wonderful. This, enabled us to have these conversations and wonder what's going to happen next and see if they continue the great content that they've been. But in the meantime, you guys know exactly where to come to find out our renditions of the lore and our explanation of what's going on. Stick around for sure for episode 18 coming soon to a podcast station near you, where we will give our thoughts on the beginnings of season 15, what things have changed, what guns do you need, what missions do you need, how do we feel about the fact that Osiris is blankety blank blank. We'll find out next episode. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I appreciate y'all sticking through to the end. As always, remember, we will link the Discord. You are free to join. You can join the Discord tomorrow if you want. You can just join the Discord on Friday. Do you want to talk about this episode? Do you want to talk about what things in the game are exciting to you right now? Do you have theories that maybe nobody will listen to? I'll listen to them. Mr. Tweezii will listen to them for sure.
Yeah.
Hop on in. Become legends with us.
Yeah. We're always looking for new members. We'll start recruiting more as we go on. But yeah, man, I think that does it for us. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Catch us on the feeds, obviously. Like, follow, leave 5 stars as a rating. Let us know what you think of the show. We are always looking to get better. Follow us on our socials. Join the Discord. All of that information, of course, in the show notes. So yeah, with that, guys, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Later.